Got to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel or my YouTube or my Instagram or wherever we are. As promised, I don't know which side you're going to be, Dad. Maybe this side. We are with my dad, Colin, and we're going to do an interview. This interview, I want to do a few interviews with my dad, but this one is primarily going to be on his job as a bodyguard, also known as, what is the proper term for bodyguard, Dad?
Close protection.
Yeah, close protection officer. So that's the proper term for it, but of course lots of people use the word bodyguard, so we'll use that. We'll use both. So this one will primarily be on bodyguard and his job. A lot of people have been asking how you get into it, all of these kind of things. We'll do that today, Dad, and then the next couple of videos we'll touch on mental health, bullying, how you've gone through your life to get to this part of your career, etc., etc. Cool?
Cool.
I'm talking to you. All right, so this is the first time we've ever done this, guys, so we might be a little bit rusty, but it's okay. So I'm probably not going to go in any, I've written the questions down because my memory's terrible. I'm probably not going to go in any order, Dad, so with the questions, we'll just jump around and see how we go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all good? Okay. So,
all good.
How long have you been in this kind of industry?
20 years.
Okay. That was a quick and short answer. Okay.
You know me, I shoot from the hip, I tell it like it is, and if I need to elaborate, I will. About 20 years, yeah, in the 90s.
All right. And what made you want to do this kind of job?
I tell you, the truth of it was I was actually working in Wales. I was actually working in a call center doing computer, not engineering, but computer maintenance on broadband and computers. And yeah, so I was doing that. And then I spoke to somebody who came through, had a problem with his computer and what have you. So we were checking his computer, and then we got talking about what he did for a living, and then he said he was a bodyguard, and I told him, wow, that's amazing. I was really interested, and then he was really enthusiastic in trying to get me to you know, look into it and try to become part of the industry. So actually I did. I looked into it and discovered there was a course, a really good course with a group called Task International, which was basically based down in Eastbourne. They did their training down there in the castle, and I decided to go. Yeah, we had a big castle, which was our headquarters of training. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were based there for all the theory and the practical, and then we'd go outside, you know, to do the driving and the rest of it. So yeah, it was very good. The training was for 4 weeks. It was great. Yeah, I went for it. I just quit my job and went for it.
So I guess this leads into the next question, is the training. Now, I obviously don't want to talk half an hour about the ins and outs of the training, but if you can just give like an overview, because I think this interests people so much, is like, what is included? Is this scary? Like, do you have to have a certain background? Like, what, if you can try to sum it up, what would you say?
I can sum it up. Most of the guys that were on the course, and I think there may have been 1 or 2 ladies on the course. So most of the guys would have been ex-military. I wasn't, even though I'd spent 7 years, about 8-9 years in cadets, Army cadets. So I had like a bit of military background in the cadet force, and I was going to become full-time Army professional, but there was reasons why I didn't do that. So on the course is 4 weeks. You had training for 4 weeks solid, and we would meet in the castle, and then, you know, we'd go through all the necessary things that you would do to become a bodyguard, which includes, you know, the self-defense side of things, which of course, which was my side, I knew a lot about. The driving side of things, the skills in driving in convoy, how to, you know, protect your principal, which the principal means is the celebrity or, you know, the rich person, whatever. So basically how to walk with them, how to not talk with them, and how to talk with them, how to basically have your, you know, your P's and Q's, your etiquette, etc. So you do all your route planning. So if you were taking your celebrity somewhere, you would plan a route, which way we're going to go, and you have a secondary route. So, you know, just in case you change your mind or there was a reason why you couldn't go the primary route, you go to your secondary route. So you would do all kinds of training like that, planning the routes, etc. Self-defense training, fitness training, car training. Walking drills is something in close protection or bodyguarding, which is very, very important. So walking drills with the principal or the principal and the family, and all the other bodyguards that are with you when you're working with the principal. So you must know how to stand, how to behave, all those kinds of things, how to negotiate buildings, on the street, all sorts of things, from being on private jets, all that kind of thing. So you've got to know how to behave. Behavior is a very, very key thing in close protection, in bodyguarding. So it's not so much about learning how to kill anybody or how to, you know, stop people. It's mostly to do with how to, you know, behave yourself in the company of very, very wealthy or famous or important people. Yeah,
I think people don't even think about that, actually, and it's not something I've known about it through talking to you, of course, but I think lots of people just think it's all guns blazing and God knows what, but actually there's so much more to it that you have to think about. Like, how do a man from Talbot who's now looking after some of the most famous people in the world, and yeah, people don't think about it. I don't really think about it that much, but when you say it, it's so true. Like, how do I now behave, and what do I do, what do I not do, what do I say, what do I not say? It's actually really, really interesting.
Yeah, and interestingly, let me just jump in there, Sara. Interestingly, because most of the guys are ex-military or some ex-police, which is your door opener. If you're ex-military or police, that's your door opener. Even if you're part-time police or part-time military, then you have a much better chance of going forwards and upwards in the industry, as opposed to myself, who came from a civic background. And but I had a very, very disciplined background.
I'm going to jump in, Dad. Sorry, I'm going to jump in. So let's tell everybody what your background is, because we know what your background is. But what is your background? Forget about previous different jobs, but what is your background that relates to this career? So tell everybody what you've done.
Yeah, well, from when I was bullied all the way through school, very, very badly, bullied very, very badly, left school, no qualifications and no confidence, zero confidence, zero qualifications. So my first mindset, or my first quest, as I call it, was when I left school. I remember leaving school, and for me, I couldn't wait to leave school because it was a horrible place. I hated it, as a lot of people do. Didn't know what I was going to do, didn't know what it was all about, had no idea what I was going to do with my life. All I knew when I left those school gates is that I have got to be strong. I've got to learn. I've got to try and get some confidence, and I've got to learn to become strong, so that never happens to me again, being bullied. So that was my first quest, to embark on changes that would change me. You can't do it yourself. You have to find people. You have to find great teachers. Anything that you do in life, you have to find great teachers to help you, to mold you, to change you for the better. And that's the first thing I did. I sought out great teachers, and I studied martial arts for a long time. I had I did judo, aikido, karate, some kickboxing. And so, but predominantly Aikido, because I love the weapon side of it, which was basically, you know, the sword, the staff, and the knife. So we, you know, trained for, as you know, for many, many, many years with the Japanese all over the country, and Japan, and different parts of the world. So
yeah, but then you became a teacher.
Yeah, I taught for 17 years.
What does a typical day look like as a job? As a bodyguard, what does your day look like? Honestly, because people don't think what you're about to say of what it's really like. People, they don't see that side of things. So you just give an honest opinion.
It depends. If you are based in the UK, it means traveling from your home all the way into work, which is early in the morning, maybe, or depends what time of day you're starting. You could do night work, you could do day work. There's two forms of bodyguarding or security on the high level, and that is RST, which is residential security, where you're looking after the property and the assets of a principal, celebrity, businessman, politician, whatever. So you look after the property. So you'll have guys who are bodyguards, but they've got the job of looking after or securing the perimeter of the home. I did that for quite a long time as well. I looked after a politician, and we looked after the property. And then we would double up as CP, which is close protection or bodyguards. And then they would have a close protection team as well. So you'd have RST, residential security, and then you would have a close protection team on him. So when he goes out, or she goes out, then you would go with her as the close protection, as the bodyguard, or the bodyguard. Could be more than one of you.
Okay. But I think it's a lot of waiting around, right? Like a lot of waiting around for people, a lot of coffee shops.
Yeah, you have to keep nudging me into reminding me where we are in the conversation, because so maybe you have to drive in by car or you travel by train, and then you get there and you meet the guys, and then you have a handover, which is basically doing it. Most jobs anyway, you hand over a 10-15 minute, details of what's been happening or what needs to happen, all those kinds of things. So you can travel to work, be at work for 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours sometimes, and then travel home, and maybe sometimes you only have about 4 or 5 hours sleep, and it's been worse than that sometimes, maybe 3 hours sleep.
Do you have like a briefing, or like, say for example, you're the first time with a principal, do you have a briefing? Who tells you, for example, I know you've said in the past about you need to find out how close that person wants you, or how far away. Do they want you close by? Do they want you to stay, in the distance? So at which point, I guess, do you decide all of these things?
Well, you'd have a team leader, or you'd have somebody, one of the team that's been with the principal for, maybe a couple of years, whatever, and they know what the principal wants. Right. And so you have to gauge it. A lot of people want to be close to the principal, and sometimes certain nationalities, maybe Arabs, want you closer, sometimes they want you further away. So you have to gauge it really in and out. But generally, you have to give them space. You're there to protect them physically, but also more importantly, perhaps, depends on the threat level, you're there to protect their way of life. And that way of life mustn't be hindered. Imagine you turning around and you bump into a bodyguard every time you turn around as a rich person or a celebrity. It would get on your nerves, right? So, you have to know when to give them space. It all depends where you are. If you're outside and there's a lot of people around, you close in, of course. But then when you deem or you think it's less threatful, then you just spread back and just give them a lot of space. So generally, that's how it works.
What is the most challenging part of the job?
Challenging part of the job is waiting around. Maybe I'll tell you a quick story. I was with an Arab princess once, and she was meeting friends inside, and I was standing on the street about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning somewhere in London, and a fox crossed in the middle of the road and stopped and was staring at me. And I was staring at the fox, and the fox was staring at me, and then I was standing there in the freezing cold thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? I may as well just be a fox. Big part of security is drivers. We have to deal with a lot of drivers, and that's why I've got no hair. Joke. Any drivers watching, it's a joke. Not. You have to deal with the drivers, and the drivers will take them home, and then they'll take you home, but they really don't want to take you home because then they'll have to go home themselves. So it's a lot of waiting around. It's a lot of boredom, if you use the B word, but there's no such thing as boredom. It's a state of mind. But you know what I mean when I talk about boredom. So it's waiting. We're paid to wait. And then it could be, 1 hour of action, 2 hours of action, but it could be a lot of waiting around. Yeah.
I think that's a really realistic insight, because I've seen some interviews with other about this topic, and not many people mention this reality, and I think it's really good to point it out for anyone who's interested in doing it. Is it's not all, you know, what you see on the films, or there's a lot of waiting around and all of that. Okay.
Very different than the films.
Yeah. Okay, so people think that being a bodyguard is just about being tough and physical and how you look, or if you look tough, then you are, and all that kind of stuff. So what would you say to that?
It helps if you are, but the problem is with people is that they can be overbearing or over physical. They can be really tall, really muscular. They could be on steroids. And then you look at them and you see their attention. Janet Jackson had some big guys with her once, but then yet, you know, they would be phoning photographers to make sure that, you know, oh yeah, we got a big celebrity coming at Harrods door 10. You might want to be there with all your photographer buddies, and they just set it up, you know, and so I can't be involved with that bullshit. I mean, that's for us, that's not professional. So we wouldn't be involved in stuff like that. That's kind of low level. Even though these guys are big guys.
They look like the movie part, but
oh, for sure, and they're very intimidating. And they put people off, you know. But there again, what you got to remember, the most important part is depends what kind of celebrities you're working with or whatever. But we work mostly with royal families. So of course, as you know, I've been with a lot of celebrities, but they have to be comfortable to take you into a restaurant. They have to be comfortable to take you into a meeting environment, a corporate environment. They have to be comfortable for you to engage with hotel managers, etc., etc. So you've also got to have brains, and you've got to have intelligence, and you've got to have diplomacy. This is a key thing in close protection, is diplomacy. I think for everything in life as well, diplomacy. A lot of the bodyguards are very punchy in the sense of very pushy, very demanding, very aggressive, and that's a big mistake and a big no-no, because we the grey men, we consider ourselves very professional, and we're very presentable, but very switched on, and you're ready to react to a situation. But in any security, good security, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Bad security goes wrong. So our job is to see what could potentially go wrong and change the circumstances to stop it from happening in the first place.
Yeah, it should never get physical. I think you've told me this before, you know, the moment it does, then something's wrong. So it should all be done from here, rather than anything physical.
Yeah, it's the physical side of it. It's best to blend in than to stick out. Because if you stick out, well, we have a funny saying in bodyguard world. It's like, you know, and we joke with the drivers, because we say to the drivers, you know, you're the first ones to get it, because they take care of the drivers. If it's a high risk, let's say, they would shoot the driver, then they shoot the bodyguard.
Yeah.
And then the principal, you know. So yeah, so it's best for them to know. Actually, another key thing is that, especially if you've got some space between you and the principal, is not knowing who actually I'm with. So you can be overtly with someone, overtly with someone, whereby you can see who I'm with. So you think, oh, are they famous, or who are they? Are they rich? What kind of jewelry have they got on? Can I cause problems with these people? But if you don't know who I'm with, because I'm not making it obvious, because I'm far away and I'm just watching my boss, watching my principal from a distance, I've had people looking at us and going, they're looking around to see who we're with, because they can't tell.
Yeah.
You know, and again, so yeah, you know, you give them space, and then you close in at certain key points of going out of buildings or going into buildings. Yeah. If you remember, I think it was one of the Kardashians in Paris, where her bodyguard, something happened. I think a guy came running over, and her bodyguard got wrapped up with him, and one of the Kardashian girls, was it? I can't remember. She was on a Kim Kardashian. She was on her own, left on her own, because the bodyguard.
That's crazy.
So for us, that's very unprofessional. So we wouldn't do things like that.
Never leave. Sure, I mean, like, I'm no bloody genius. I'm sure you'd never leave.
No, because it could be a ploy, it could be a dummy. Yeah, so they distract you, take you away from the principal, and then they got the principal. So ideally, the bodyguard, you'd have a few people with the principal if it's a high threat or a very important person. So you'd have a PPO, which is a personal protection officer, for the principal. Then you'd have the other bodyguards. So it's the other bodyguard's job to take away the threat, and the PPO, or the main bodyguard, is to take the principal away.
Right. So you have a setup then. If there's a group of you, you always have a plan. You always have a.
Yeah, and it becomes through experience, and you only learn experience. And just to go back a bit, you know, you learn a lot on the course, but actually the most you learn is from other guys and being on the ground and learning from mistakes, making mistakes. But yeah, you know, good security is like poetry. Good bodyguarding is like poetry. You know, it's beautiful the way you move in and out cars, the way the cars move together in convoy. It's very, very, you know, it's beautiful when it's good, when everybody's good. There's a lot of ego involved, a lot of people, drivers, security, a lot of egos involved, and they want to be in charge, and they want to be with a celebrity. So there's a lot of that as well. But with us, it's the opposite. We're very quiet. I like to call it invisible, as invisible as possible. So nobody knows who you're with. I'll give you an example. We were in Harrods with a very, very important princess, and there was two military guys and me with one principal, and some Russian guys come in, and it must have been like, you know, MMA guys or something, because they were just messing about. And then they pinged our lads, who were just standing there as bodyguards do sometimes. And then they were making aggressive motions in front of them. They started like play fighting, and they were just like trying to get the body. Yeah, they were trying to get the bodyguards to react, you know, and they were reacting. They were like stepping, and the tension in the air, you could feel it. But with me, they didn't have a clue I was a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Because I'm there picking up a shoe, looking at the shoe. Because at the end of the day, you haven't got to be staring at the principal. It depends where you are. If it's safe, if it's a safe environment, you just give them space. And you just mull around as if you were one of the shoppers.
Yeah, but
so
I think that's the art to it.
That's the art.
I'm sure some people would disagree, but I think that's the art. Is you're there, but you're not. You know, no.
You're there, but you're not there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Okay,
moving along, I don't want to get caught up on that too much. If you could sum up, let's say 5 skills that you personally think that a person needs in order to become a bodyguard. 5 skills.
5 skills. Discipline background. Doesn't really matter. You could take a rugby player. A rugby player would be really good as a bodyguard, a rugby player, or a martial artist, but a good martial artist in the sense of it's not about fighting, it's about being, you know, disciplined. That's the main thing. So discipline, posture is a good thing. Presentation, behavior, and patience.
Okay, but then I guess I wanted to hear more about being smart, being able to see things. I guess you've said intelligence, but I don't know. I guess it's just, I was thinking more on the mental thing up here when you're on the job, because people, like I've said before, people think it's all physical, but you're constantly looking around. Even when we go out for dinner or for wherever we go in public, I've noticed you can't switch off ever. Like you're constantly looking like around, looking where's the exit, where's this, where's that. I guess that's a big part, is that you have to be switched on. And I remember I said to you once, I was a kid, and you probably won't remember this, we were in the car in Port Talbot, and I was in the front seat with you, you were driving, and I said, oh, I would love to be a bodyguard, I think I'd be really, really good. And you were like, oh yeah? And I was like, yeah, I think I'd be really good. And you were like, okay, what color's the car behind us? And I was like, I don't know. And you were like, no, you wouldn't pass, because I didn't know that, because I hadn't been looking in the mirror at the car behind us. And I remember thinking, so I think it's just all about having, I think, eye for details as well, like seeing the things that normal people don't see.
Yes, that's very key. And look, we could choose anything I can mention within 2 seconds, and we can drill down into that and then drill down further into that, because that's boring stuff, really. I tell you, one of the key things to be a good security, a good bodyguard, is attention. Because we live in an age of distraction, which is Madonna's fault, because of music videos, and I can talk about that again, what happens in the industry of music and videos, etc. Because people then, they started to do fast editing. That's why people's brains started, back in the day, they used to read big novels like this. There was no TV, no radio. And then, of course, TV killed the radio star, because what people were doing is that they were making videos, music videos. And the music videos were quite long shots, and then relatively boring if you look back at them. And then they started to make them shorter and shorter and shorter editing. So there was faster editing. And that was conditioning the young people's minds to what's next, what's next, what's next, because it was cut, 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 cut to new scenes all the time. So a lot of film, a lot of music videos resulted in people being looking for the next stimulation. So what happens with a lot of people in life, especially in security as well, people get distracted away from their, I'll give you an example, there you go. Well, again, in another story from Harrods, I was in Harrods, and what is that model with the big boobs, and she used to be married to Peter Andre?
Katie Price.
Katie Price. So Katie Price was in there with a friend. I was with a princess. And Katie Price was watching me, and she was trying to get my attention, because they thought I'm really famous about themselves.
Yeah.
So you should they always look, those kinds of people always look to see if they're getting attention from people, because that's what they thrive on. They thrive on getting attention from other people. I'm looking at you though, but I should be looking at the camera, but then I want to look at you.
I'm doing exactly the same.
Yeah, it's tricky. So she was trying to get my attention, but I wasn't interested, not interested. And you focus in on your principle all the time. So the point of that little story is you've got to be able to concentrate for long times. Yeah. And I've got that ability from my background training. I've got the ability to concentrate for. So even though I could be talking to you, I'm still aware of what's going on over there or over there. So that's awareness. Let's call it awareness is a key skill for security. Awareness.
Yeah. Has a principal or a celebrity or whatever you want to call it, have they ever congratulated you or complimented you on a job well done? I'm sure they have.
Well, top of the list would be Michael Jackson.
Yeah. I remember this. Actually, yeah. I remember.
I was working for Mohammed Al Fayed, the Harrods owner. And I was tasked to be with Michael Jackson, because he used to love coming in with Harrods. So he put me with his security. Michael Jackson's security team were rubbish. But so didn't
he? Hang on, Michael Jackson had a friend who was his bodyguard. And we better not say too much, because he's also British and he seems very lovely.
Yeah, but Michael Jackson's had a lot of bodyguards over the years. Yeah, but there was a team, obviously, from US. And they were, well, put it this way, Michael Jackson was drinking orange juice in a Georgian restaurant, and they were drinking champagne. So there you go. So it should be the other way around, right? So yeah, Michael Jackson was a very, very gracious person, despite all the stuff that was going on about him at the time. And I'm very sensitive to negative energy or bad energy. You know, one of my big things is human trafficking and child abuse. Child trafficking, so I'm heavily into that in trying to stop it across the world, because it's massive. So obviously he had all these molestation accusations against him, and so therefore I was a little bit reticent about, being with him and being around him, what have you, but I didn't take any bad energy with him at all. I thought he was a very lovely person. At some point, we were waiting for to leave, and he was opposite me but we were directly opposite each other, and we were just like waiting, and of course we don't talk unless the principal talks to us, you know. So you know, we don't strike up conversations because you know because we want to be buddies with the princess or buddies with you know, Kim Kardashian or something, because you normally get fired. You don't last very long. If you've got the celebrity stare, a lot of people look in, they don't look out. So they're totally taken with the celebrity. It can happen. It's happened to me once or twice.
Really?
But,
I'll go into that next. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know.
We'll go into it now. We'll go into it next. Finish your story with Michael Jackson.
Yeah, and then he came and stood by the side of me and started talking, and we were talking for, you know, a couple of minutes, and my brain had to check itself, because I used to be a kid, really, a young teenager as well, lying on the sofa in Wales, and you know, watching the TV with a Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson with all his, and he was top of the game back then, you know. And then you're standing there and you're talking to the guy and you're thinking, shit, is this real? Even though I've been with a lot of other famous people, what have you, but there's certain people, you know. And then we shook hands, and we shook hands. He offered his hand to me, he thanked me for looking after him and helping him. And he shook my hand, so we were shaking hands together like this, and he grabbed my hand and he held it really tight. And you know, you just grab somebody's hand and then you think thank you, and then you move away. But he was holding on to my hand, so there was a connection there, physical connection. And you couldn't see in his eyes because he had his dark glasses on, so you couldn't actually see into his soul per se. But there was a really lovely moment between us, you know, a couple of moments or a couple of minutes then, if you like, where we were talking and then we were touching. So, and I didn't detect anything bad from him at all. No.
Okay. And I also, you won't want to talk about this, but I actually want to talk about the moment, which I think is really cool, with Daniel Craig on the set. I don't know if you remember, you must remember the moment on the set of Casino Royale, was it? And,
yeah.
And no one was listening on the set?
Yeah.
And you said something. Okay, can you tell this story? Because I think it's really cool.
Okay, so we're not allowed to swear, right? Okay.
Well, I can.
No, I'm not going to swear. It's not nice, really. Although I do swear a lot. We probably all do. But I don't want to swear. Water.
Vodka.
Casino Royale, first film for Daniel Craig. Quick story, pre-story to Daniel getting the part as Bond is that a friend of mine was in Pinewood at the time and was talking to Daniel after he did screen test or rehearsal, screen test I think it was, with Barbara Broccoli and Michael, can't remember his second name, the American producer. And Daniel Craig came outside. I'm not sure if anybody knew that he smoked at the time. He came off Munich, which is a great film if you've never seen that. He was really good in Munich, a Steven Spielberg film. And he'd hadn't long done that. And he came, and my friend Jerry Fox was outside. And so Jerry said to Daniel, so do you think you got the part? And Daniel, I remember him telling me, Daniel went, I don't give a F if I do, and I don't give a F if I don't.
That's a very James Bond thing to say.
Yeah, so yeah, I wasn't there at that time, but I remember Jerry telling me that story, and I thought, wow. Anyway, he got the part, and of course, then we were involved with the film later on, with doing security and close protection for directors and the producers and Daniel and some of the other stars. So there was this particular day on film, and actually it was like the beginning of the film, and Martin Campbell was a director. He directed Zorro and other things, and I knew about Martin Campbell because I studied Martin Campbell when I was in university, and I loved him as a director. He directed a series called Edge of Darkness. It was a critically acclaimed series back in the 80s, I'd like to say. And he was directing it. He came off Zorro with Catherine Zeta-Jones. She was on Zorro. So he was directing Casino Royale, and he was one of my favorite directors. And Daniel was on there. We were in the studio, we were about to go filming, and the cast and crew. If you've ever been on films, I've been on a lot of films. If you've ever been on films, sometimes the cast and crew, sorry, the crew, not the cast, are complete. They do it all day. They do it for long hours, so they just get complacent. They're reading newspapers. When you got famous actors or whatever over there, they just reading newspapers, or they checking their phones, when they're not doing their job. And on this particular day, in one of the sets, in one of the studios, they were making noises, and Martin Campbell's an actor's director, and he was getting pissed off because they were all kind of making noises where he wanted total quiet, total concentration. This went on and on and on, and I said to Martin Campbell, if you want, I can tell them all off. I'll give them a row.
I can tell them all off.
Yeah, because you probably remember I had quite a loud voice from teaching, teaching all those years, and I used to shout at my students, obviously because I want the best for them, of course. And so anyway, it went on and on and on, and people were banging doors, stage doors and stuff like that, and rustling newspapers. I think somebody's phone went off or something, and Martin Campbell had lost the plot really, and he was really annoyed. So he looked at me and he nodded as if to say, right, go on. So yeah, I basically got everybody's attention by shouting and clapping my hands.
What did you shout?
Sorry?
What did you shout?
Well, it's difficult for me not to shout now because I'll be aggressive on the film. But I said, right, everybody stop what you're doing and listen to me. Kind of, very loud. They all stood to attention while I give this huge speech about, right, let's forget all the other Bond films. They don't exist anymore. Everybody working on this film has got to make this film the best James Bond film ever. And I was shouting, and I was pointing, and all the cast and the crew were like, who the hell is this guy? Because they didn't know what it was. So after I made this big positive, but it was only, this is going to be the best James Bond film ever. This is the only one you've ever worked on. This is going to be an incredible film. Everybody's going to give their attention, and you're going to stop messing about and the rest of it. Anyway, so I finished the speech, and I remember doing gashu, which is basically from martial arts. Gashu is Japanese for this, okay? And I said, thank you very much. And everybody went, everybody was clapping. Barbara Broccoli, Daniel Craig, Martin Campbell, and the other producers. And so that was my moment. And later on, because we thought Daniel wasn't going to be very good because he kept fluffing his lines. So, and he as an actor, he used to say, I need 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes. So I was thinking, crikey, he's not really going to make it, is he? He's not very good after all. He can't remember his lines. But of course, as we know, he became, probably what we think is probably the best, probably after Sean Connery, the best James Bond.
Okay, people are going to want to know this. And I know maybe you don't want to go ahead and say everybody's names of people you've looked after, but people will want to know if you can drop some names that you've looked after in the past. Tell us who you've looked after, because I know people want to know this. Like, I'd want to know this. And don't need to give any opinions, obviously.
Okay, so I'm struggling already mentally because my professional side says I shouldn't really talk about them.
No, pictured with, for example, like there's some I've seen pictures.
Oh, public pictures. Okay, some of the pictures I've been caught with. People I've been caught with. Okay, there was the one with Margaret Thatcher. I was helping the Royal Protection team, who were tasked with looking after Margaret Thatcher. Obviously, when you work, and I think your viewers would like to know the difference between Arab people working with Arab, which is my main work and has been, and celebrities. With celebrity, by the way, as you know or probably know, I don't like working with celebrities.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, one. And the viewers can know this. One, they don't really have that much money. Although, some of them do, but when it comes to life's, having the resources that we need. They don't have the same kind of money as the Middle Eastern people, let's say, or Russians. So yeah, so the reason why also is because if you're with celebrities, you're going to get pinged by the paparazzi. You're going to get caught with the cameras, and that's the problem of it. So essentially, you could have your face all around the world, which was happened with Kendall Jenner when I was with Kendall, and we got papped all the time.
We were at McDonald's, which I've uploaded the picture. I think it's really cool that you're standing next to her at McDonald's while she's ordering. What did she order in McDonald's? Kendall, do you remember?
I can't remember.
Try to remember what she.
I think it was just like a double cheeseburger or something like that with fries or what have you. But that was a quick one. She decided she wanted
lovely. But you said she was really lovely.
Kendall?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kendall's lovely. Yeah, she's a nice girl. She's really nice. But a quick funny story. When I met Kendall from Paris, one time, I told her there's they were doing some kind of fashion show not far away, and I didn't want her to go that way because I said, "Oh, I don't want to take you that way dressed like that." So she was like, you see how she dresses. She dresses down, and she's got nice dresses on. So I took her through a pub, and and then we went on the back way where the cars were waiting for us. So
you do get away to say to Kendall Jenner, you can't go dressed like that. We'll go the other.
You're not going dressed like that, like my daughter. Yeah, no. So, but Kendall's really nice. I'm basically Kendall's bag carrier. I carry her bag.
If you haven't seen the picture, there's people who follow me on social media, they would have seen the picture with my dad holding Kendall's glittery handbag while she's standing there in like a beautiful, like half naked in this dress, and you're just standing on the side of the handbag. Oh my god, classic. Okay, who else? Tell us some more names if you can.
Oh gosh, yeah, but they're out in the public domain, so I can mention them. Maybe shouldn't really, but yeah, lots of Kylie Minogue, Pussycat Dolls back in the day, and oh crikey, loads of people.
You've looked after I know you've looked after so many.
Yeah, I just can't really. I should have a list really, but I'm not.
No, it's okay. We won't go into it too much. It's fine. Has anything ever gone? Hang on, I've got a hiccup. Has anything ever gone wrong on the job? Or have you had a scare? Because I know going wrong to some people they'll expect like a massive dramatic story, and it's not going to be. But if you can just say something that's perhaps not gone to plan or has given you a bit of a scare, or I don't know.
I think a thing too for your viewers to understand that there's high threat and there's low threat, or medium threat, low threat. So high threat, it could be like guys who work in Iraq or Afghanistan on contracts, or after dodgy principals who've got a threat on them, where people want to kill them or damage their reputation. So there could be a lot of that. Or there's medium to lower threat. Well, most of the Arabs, especially the royal families, there's only a threat really of kidnapping or having their stuff stolen, things like that. People really don't know who they are unless they know who they are. So there was, on the royal family side of things, I was looking after the ex-queen of Saudi Arabia, and there was a female bodyguard of myself, and she was, we were walking not far away from you, actually, funny enough, and she was accosted by two guys who were yobbos, basically, and they obviously saw that they were foreign, because I had a general with me, and then a few Arab people, including the general, maybe a colonel as well, and two British CP, me and another lady. I mean a lady.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a lady. You have to act like a lady. Like when I'm carrying Kendall's bag, that's when I'm a lady. And they tried to abuse her, and then we had to be physical with them. Yeah. So I had to put one of them down on the floor and yeah, take care of them really and move on. You always move on. You always move away from it. So some of us say we're professional cowards because you get out of Dodge. You know, you don't stick around and get in a brawl.
No.
You get out, and that's with people. Your viewers will like to know perhaps that, you know, you have a place where your principal is. You have the mode of transportation, which is a car. I call it the mobile fortress. The mobile fortress. I look at the camera. And then they have another venue or a residence. So they come from the residence into the car, into the venue, from the venue into the car to the residence, or, you know, they could be walking, they could be on foot. So, but then we have the cars following not far away. And sometimes it's my job to make sure that the cars are not far away from us. So if something does go wrong, then the cars are close by. We get them in the cars and you go. You get away from trouble. You don't stay in trouble. You move away from trouble, and that applies to anybody in your life, generally, not just through, you know, security, but in your life as you grow and older, as time is ticking. You have people who take your energy and people who give you energy. So you want to get rid of the ones who take your energy all the time, and stay with the ones that give you energy. Good vibration, positive vibes. That we hear that phrase a lot. So it's good to be around all those people who are positive to you. And the same applies with clients as well. You get some bad ones or good ones.
Yeah, but we won't talk names. We won't. But you've even refused jobs for.
Yeah, because it's my reputation as well as theirs. You know, they might be famous, they might be, but you've got to have your standards in life, where who you associate with, who you work for. You know. So yeah.
Next question. What tips would you give to anyone, but I've had a lot of women asking me tips on how to protect themselves in a day-to-day life. You've taught me from growing up, I think, tips over the years, how to protect myself, how you walk, where you look, not to be attached to your phone, like those kind of things you've told me over the years, and it's stuck with me. And I'm probably the other side where I'm a bit paranoid. But I'm switched on, and it doesn't switch off, which is good. But what would you say, primarily to women, but men as well, but I would say more so to women, what would you say they can do to protect themselves on a normal day-to-day? Because anything can happen to anyone anywhere. And we all know that. We always think it's not going to happen to us, but we know that it can happen to anyone, anywhere. So I think this is a topic that I'd like you to touch on.
Oh, well, of course, you know, men can be horrible creatures, a lot of them, and they can be, you know, they use women, they just want to sleep with women, have sex with them, and then they discard them. There's danger there through physical intervention. In other words, they want to, you know, try and grab you, rape you, whatever it is. They can drug you, drink. More so, we never had this problem back in the day.
I've had my drink spiked. I don't even know if I've told you this. I've had my drink spiked twice. And I've bought them twice. There was one time in Swansea, I think I was with a group of people, and we were in a nightclub in Swansea, and I was dancing, but I had my drink close to me. And I know you've always said about drinks, and I've always been quite sensible, I think. And my drink was there, and I was dancing, and I saw the guy drop it in my drink. I saw it in there. And it just takes a couple of seconds and it's gone, and you won't see it anymore. And I just remember thinking, I just left. I don't think I even said anything to anyone. And I left. And then the second time, it was in the same street, in a different club. And I saw someone do it to my friend. No, it wasn't my drink. It was my friend's drink, Kimberly. And I said to her, I think it was Kim. And I said, we have to leave now. And she was like, why? And I was like, someone's just dropped put a drug in your drink. And she was like, what? How did you see that? And I was like, I don't know. I noticed it, and yeah, it can happen, and you just don't think it will. So yeah, this is really important because I've seen it twice.
Yeah, so you know, you have to be aware of your surroundings. I remember one of my martial arts teachers telling me that, you know, if you're ever walking down the street and you think somebody's following you, knock on doors. People won't mind. No. If you said, look, I'm very scared, this guy is following me, knock on a door, and chances are, you know, they'll say, look, come in. come in and stay safe in here, or I'll call you a taxi. For women, you know, we can't in this country carry mace or a stun gun, you know, to protect yourself. So I would say, you know, anything like deep, we sometimes we carry deep heat, which if you sprayed in people's eyes, that would absolutely kill them. It would be like, you know, very, very advantageous for you to be able to get away if somebody's distracted. And also a pen, nice solid pen in your purse. A whistle.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. Or one of those alarms. But a whistle is even better. A whistle really gets people's attention.
I think, Dad, when you're scared, because I've been in situations where I've been scared. I don't know if I told you recently, in the last 2 years, when I was in Melbourne. I don't know if I told you this story. I think I must have.
Was it involving a spider?
No. Well, yeah, but he wasn't gonna rape me or anything. But no, I was in a taxi in an Uber.
Yes.
So that's the thing.
Yes.
Tell women to get into Ubers, even though we shouldn't be telling women any of these things. We should be telling men not to do things to women. But I got in an Uber from work, which was 11:30 in the night. I finished work, and I just jumped in an Uber because you think, you know, safest option. And I think, going slightly off topic, but I think your gut instinct is 99.99% of the time right. And if you have a gut feeling about something, you gotta act on it. You've gotta act on it. And like this guy, we were driving and he started, so I sat directly behind him, I think, in the car. I sat directly behind, no, I sat opposite. So he was there and I was here, opposite sides of the car in the back. And I just had a weird feeling. I don't know what it was from the beginning. Weird feeling. And he started saying, "Oh, madam, I'm not feeling very well." And I was like, "Okay, no problem. Like we can stop. Like I don't want you to drive. What's wrong?" And he was like, "Oh, my chest is hurting or something." And then I said, "Look, I'm first aid trained. I really don't want you to drive while you're not feeling well. Like let's pull over. I can get you an ambulance. I can call someone for you. Like let's just stop." And he's like, "Oh, no, it's fine. We'll keep driving." So then something inside me, and it sounds awful because this man was telling me he's not feeling well, but something inside me told me this is not right. And as we kept driving, I was texting Roberto actually at the same time saying, "I'm in a car, something's feeling odd." So he was aware of what, and I sent him my location, my live location, so he knew. And then we continued driving a little bit further. Now I was new to Melbourne, so I kind of don't know the roads very well, but I put on my maps to see, because I couldn't tell from memory, it was dark. I put on my maps to see where I was going. We were going off track. We were going in a different way to where we were supposed to be going. He said to me, "I'm just going to stop in a car park that I know is safe for me to stop, because I don't feel very well." And I said, what do you mean a car park?" No, madam, I know a really good, I know a really safe place where we can stop. And I was looking at him in the mirror. And I just remember feeling sick. I just had this feeling inside me that's like, this is not right. And we were at a set of traffic lights. And I said, I didn't say anything actually. I just looked at the doors to see, you know, you can see sometimes the lock is open. So I before I got out, I said, you can stop here. We were at the traffic lights. And he turned around and he just smirked at me. He gave me this smirk. I don't know.
Wow.
I know some of people who follow me, you won't know what a smirk is. It's like a creepy half smile. And he looked at me and I just knew something was wrong. Like I just knew it straight away. And I just darted out of that car as quick as you can imagine. Like I was out. I just shot out of it. And I walked, and I was in the middle of nowhere basically. And I walked to this petrol station that I could see lights. I didn't walk, I ran. And I was calling Roberto at the same time. And yeah, and that's what happened. And I know that something bad was going to happen. I knew it. There's no proof that I can say that I knew it was going to happen. It was just my gut saying, get out. Because I remember you saying, Dad, once you're in a car with someone who's going to do something bad, you've got next to no chance to get safe.
Yeah, you've got to get out in the first couple of minutes. You've got to change it in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, so I jumped out.
I call it, you've got to change the pattern.
Yeah.
Because once they get comfortable, once you get fearful,
you got to break their pattern. Yeah.
Yeah,
but I remember in that moment feeling so scared, Dad, like so scared. My point was blowing a whistle. I don't even know if I could have done it. Do you know what I mean? Just so people react in different ways, and I was just so like, what is going on? Luckily, I had the strength and the courage to just jump out. But I think a lot of people wouldn't know what to do. They just freeze. So it's very scary. Do you get paid more based on who you're with and the risk?
Yes, you can get paid more, but generally, if you're contracting with a company, they have to make profits. So they try and keep it as low as possible. Years ago,
but you get tips. You've got so much tips, so many tips.
You do get good tips sometimes. Sometimes you get nothing.
No, I know.
But yeah.
Okay, well, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. And like we said earlier, Dad, we'll probably get more questions on this again. But we've talked for quite a long time. And yeah, it's a massive topic. But I also want to cover topics. So just at the end of this video, I just want to say that we'll cover topics on a bit about spirituality, Dad, because I think that's something that you're huge on. I would say even more, not way more knowledgeable, but I feel like you've studied that more than what you could study to be a bodyguard, for example. So we'll touch on well, we won't touch on it. We'll do a whole topic on spirituality. We'll do law of attraction, practicing gratitude, also mental health and bullying and how to change your life basically around. Because you've also been a life coach, you've also been bullied, you've also been in places that people find themselves in but don't really talk about it in many cases. So we'll cover all of that. I just wanted to start with this one to get people's interest, to know, to also say you don't always have these like fab jobs and have an amazing past. Like you can come from, you know, nothing, and you can also get this kind of job.
Well, I find it quite unusual. Somebody who was bullied becomes a bodyguard, bullied to bodyguard. So it's quite unusual, really. Although, you know, a lot of, I don't know if it's anybody who's into MMA or something else, but GSP, which is George St. Pierre, a Canadian MMA fighter. Where anybody who knows me will probably know who I'm talking about, especially the lads. He was badly bullied. Another famous MMA guy is Bas Rutten. And a lot of the guys will know who Bas Rutten is. He was badly bullied. And they then turned their lives around and became very strong, very tough guys. You know, they didn't become bodyguards, but I think Bas Rutten...
Yes, I get that side of things. But I think being mentally strong is completely another story. And
that is my knowledge and everything about Bodyguard is that.
Yeah.
My experience with the other stuff is
huge. I know. And that's why I really want to delve into it, because I think we can help people, which is I think what both of us want to do. Like we always want to help people, and you especially always want to help people and guide people. I think once you've been sad and once you've been in these places that I think we've both been in, then we only want to help people when we kind of know that we're stronger now. We want to help people to become stronger as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And lots of topics there, and lots of things to talk about and to help people with. Massive amount of experience. I mean, you've been bullied badly as well in your life, so you can talk about that. So we can engage about the whole bullying side of things. We can talk about that as a subject, and there's loads of stuff. Spirituality is my main thrust in life. You know, politics, but you don't talk about politics. Don't talk about politics.
I won't. No politics.
Yeah, but you know, it's the fight between good and evil is massive in my life as well.
Enough. No more, because I'm always going to go to politics in some way.
I know.
All right.
I know.
So let's wrap it up. Let's call it a day. And thank you for people who've watched. If you found this interesting, well, I hope you did. I'm sure you did. Parts of it. And we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.